Hello, friends, and welcome to my new Kerbal Space Program video. And today we're going to go to Mars. Yeah, we're planning to go to Mars, and I'm building my rover in Kerbal Space Program. So with the rovers, I had some few set parameters. Like I decided to have a low center of mass because that would increase the stability of the rover. So I've installed most of the batteries and stuff underneath the rover. So we had plenty of room upstairs, in the upper part of the body, and we had many science equipments installed there. As you can see, the drill was really very big, so I installed it onto the left hand side of the rover, and if that increased the instability of the rover, so I had to balance the uh, weight so that the center of mass comes to the center of the rover, and that was a pretty huge thing that I had to overcome in order to increase the stability. So I installed the nuclear batteries at the end of the rover, or you can say the opposite side of the drill. So that would surely increase the stability by bringing the center of mass to the center of the rover. The main idea is to have the center of mass at the center, because when you're climbing a hill at Mars, or if you're doing some maneuvers, or it's always better to have center of mass at the center of the rover, or else it can turn over or bad stuff can happen. So I made a rover and tested it on Kerbin, and then after the testing I did realize there was some major issues with the rover, and that needed to be changed. The angle at which the tires or wheels were at was not good, because that would made the rover turn over, and that could be a problem for us, because this is $1 million machine. So I got back to assembly and did everything right and made some corrections. I did add it to how can I say that? To you can say that memory units, because I can say that I added 2 brains to this rover, because the actual rover also has this 2 brains, like 2 central processing units. So that's pretty good to have, because when you're doing some space travels, the brains, like the CPU, tend to give wrong answers, because the radiation from sun causes the bits to turn from 1 to 0, or from 0 to 1, and so we have to have 2 computers to nullify the things that go wrong and get the right answers. So I did made the rover pretty big, and I had to design a payload fairings accordingly, and that was not exactly to what Perseverance rover's payload fairing looked like, but yeah, like this would do much better than Perseverance rover in some ways. And I had to add like 4 boosters engine, or yeah, I went with 3 of them, and 4 small solid boosters, yeah, and everything was pretty great. I did added the RCS remote control system that would help us get small maneuvers done in right time, and we'll get to Mars accordingly. The rover, it took me around half an hour to build this over and build the sky crane. It was pretty tough because at first I got some issues, but yeah, it was a good experience, I must say. So here we are launching our rocket. The rocket was pretty heavy. It took me a lot of time to attain the surface velocity of 400 meters per second. As you can see, we are about to reach high aerodynamic pressure. That's called max gear. And now we are tilting towards, I think, east. Yeah. And this would add to horizontal velocity. It's pretty important because you need to have both components in the right amount in order to get an orbit around Earth. So now I took a dive of 45 degrees. Oh, I think it would be called dive. I'm not sure. So the epiopsis is I think I was going for 100,000 meters, and as I told you, the vertical velocity should be approximately equal to, in order to get a circularized orbit, you almost need to have right amount of vertical and horizontal velocity. I would say the component for horizontal velocity should be greater because the horizontal velocity determines the orbit, and the vertical velocity determines the altitude. And yeah, later on it adds on to building an orbit insertion, and we've got a pretty good orbit around Earth. Now we are heading towards Mars, and first of all, we are pretty close to Mars right now, but I tend to I tend to intercept Mars pretty late. I'm not sure why this was the case, because generally we get Mars in around 6 months. The Perseverance rover would intercept Mars in 6 months, but I think I was late. The window was I'm not sure. I did made some mistakes over here, but I did got an orbit. I did intercept Mars, so that's okay. And I have enough of delta V remaining, so it won't affect me. So let's go. I think this burn would make us intercept Mars, or Duna, as we say in the Kerbal Space Program video. Oops, I think yeah. So as soon as we get the orbit, it's not exactly the same, because a small change in velocity or delta V would give you a high it's really very hard to get the orbit, hard to get the intercept Mars, because you are pretty far away from Mars, and any small changes you make over here would change your trajectory to a greater level. It's kind of exponential. So I reduced my thruster limits and then tried to intercept Mars, and as you can see, I think I got a pretty great intercept. And you need to take care that you don't get into the gravity of Mars's moon, or else that would not let you drive through the atmosphere of Mars. So as soon as I got pretty close to Mars, I tried maneuvering and getting a right amount of you need to go get the right amount of atmosphere, because as soon as it's not great, like it's not appropriate, you'll just shoot off this atmosphere of Mars. But if it's pretty like you're hitting the planet at a larger angle, you're gonna hit the surface. You might not slow down and hit the surface pretty hard. So choose the right thing. I would say that hit the Mars surface by around 10,000 meters. Like the periapsis should be around 10,000 meters. That's the appropriate thing. And yeah, I would say that 10,000 to 15,000 meters is the right thing to do. And make sure that in this case I had decoupler that caused that added to my delta V, and that increased my delta V to around 20,000 meters, like my periapsis to 20,000 meters. So I had to nullify that by I had few liquid fuel left in my stage 2, so I did fire them to get the right angle. I must say the game is pretty great, right? The background music, the platform where it's built, the background stars and galaxy, they are pretty great. I'm pretty impressed. They give some pretty cinematic view. And here we are. I can see my rover wheels giving me a sneak peek, and that's not good. Let's hope that they don't burn or get damaged on re-entry. I also forgot to add a decoupler to my rover, so the parachutes can't be decoupled, so I need to cut them. So I did prepare accordingly. As you can see, we are 28,000 meters inside the Mars's atmosphere, and the heat shield is active. And this is not looking good, because it's not looking good. Hush, the rover slowed down. That's a good sign. Now I'm waiting for my parachutes to deploy, and as you can see, they're being deployed. Mars's surface is pretty thin, like it's 1% of Earth's surface, atmosphere. So you need to bring a hell lot of parachutes with you, because the normal parachutes that work on Earth won't work on Mars. So I added a hell number of parachutes to work and reduce the horizontal, or you may say vertical, velocity of descent. As we hit the mark of 2,000 meters, I then tried to cut off all of the parachutes, and we were left with one parachute. And I activated my sky crane and started reducing my vertical velocity. And here we go. I did thought like we did something wrong, like we should have waited until 12,000 meters of altitude and then cut off my parachutes, but I did used up a lot of fuel for my sky crane. That wasn't good. Well, let's wait for the touchdown. I think we got a pretty great touchdown with surface velocity of like around 3 to 4 meters per second. Yeah, but I was expecting a pretty low. I was expecting a vertical velocity of around a meter or 2 meters per second. But that's all good. The main problem is like when you descend at a higher speed and impact the surface, your science equipment might get, they might break, or some bad things might happen to them. But that's actually not good, because you spend millions of dollars, and I was not expecting that. There we go. The sky crane almost, it was really very low on fuel when we started our descent, and when we actually touched down, the rover had like only 5% of fuel left, and when I just decoupled it just didn't went so far away from the rover. That was not good. That was actually very harmful for the rover. But the rover survived, and we are on the surface of Mars. It's as the actual Mars rover would land on surface of Mars, it would be around 9 o'clock in the morning over there, and the same goes over here. It's almost sunrise over here, and that's the actual plan. We have pretty much landed where we were supposed to land, and we are doing some science experiments soon as we land. But that won't be the case with the Perseverance rover, because it would wait and warm up her batteries, and then deploy the Ingenuity helicopter, and then it will take a photo of the rover, and that's how it would be done. So thanks for watching, guys. Do subscribe and like my channel. Thanks guys, thanks to be with me over here, and see you again.